All right, guys, welcome to a brand new call today. We get to hear the story of Marie Jedd. She's somebody who really challenged me in the very beginning, and obviously caught my attention. There's not a lot of people who challenge me, but Marie definitely did. This person also cares, so they're asking the questions that most people aren't willing to do. So Marie, say hello to everybody and give a quick introduction of who you are, where you're from, why do you have a funny accent, all the fun stuff.
My funny accent comes from the Czech Republic. I was born in Prague and I moved here to the United States about 12 years ago, I think. I am currently living in Pennsylvania, Westchester, Pennsylvania, and that's where my cleaning business is located. Got into the cleaning business because of COVID, basically. I have a degree in hospitality management and I worked in hotels my whole life. I thought I was gonna just work my way up the corporate hospitality ladder and I was gonna oversee some hotels and then COVID came and I was put on a layoff for a couple of months and then I was told that once I come back, I would get a 30% salary cut. I was a single mom. My son was 4 years old. I'm like, well, I can't take a 30% salary cut. So what else can I do? Where can I take the skills that I have from hospitality? What can I come up with? So that's how cleaning came to mind because I did work my way through, front desk, housekeeping. I was a director of housekeeping for a couple of years, and then my most recent position, I was overseeing the whole hotel. But housekeeping was always like my favorite department in the hotel to oversee. So I figured, I know housekeepers that are laid off right now. My ex-husband was actually the one who hooked me up with Ecolab supplies because he was an Ecolab rep for many, many years. So I had direct access to basically top-notch chemicals. So that was how I started marketing myself on Facebook. I'm like, hey moms, I'm here, Marie. I have all these awesome chemicals to come and sanitize your homes. Let me know who's interested. And that was, I remember I got like 12 people to raise their hand, like I'm interested. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, people want this. So yeah, I remember my first big deep clean. I charged $200 and I thought like, wow, I made so much money. This was great. I spent like 8 hours cleaning the house by myself 5 years later, and it's no longer $200. So that impresses me.
Did you just make the commitment and go use the chemicals, go start cleaning, or did you get your LLC and get the bank account all set up first? Which order did you do it?
I did set up everything first.
Okay.
Paperwork was first. My boss was like a very good friend of mine, and I told him like, listen, like I know it's not your fault. Like the corporate is telling us that we got to take this
No.
salary cut. So I am planning to start up this business, and I can stay here and help you. You can basically pay me as a subcontractor or whatever, whatever you want to call it. I'm just gonna come here and teach you the things that I know, and I'm gonna wait for my paperwork to come through and maybe start cleaning some houses on the side. So I did that for maybe 2 months. So I think I was going to the hotel like Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I started looking for houses the other days.
The thing I picked up there is that you're a great employee. You just didn't leave the company high and dry. Even though they cut your pay, you stayed to help them replace you. And I think that everybody wants to be a great leader, but great leaders are first great followers. And so you stayed there to help the company. How long did you work the job and the cleaning business for? How long was that period for?
I think that was 2 months, maybe a month and a half or 2 months.
You were doing that for 2 months. And then after that, did you go full time in the cleaning business?
I did.
So when you started out cleaning, how did you pick your pricing? When you said you charged $200 for your first clean, how did you pick the pricing?
I thought I was charging enough by charging $40 an hour. I'm like, okay, I'm already charging like almost double what, an independent cleaner charges here. So like I'm good. And I had a pretty good idea of how long things take to clean because of my experience from the hotel. Like we give
Yeah.
specific amount of minutes for a checkout room versus a stayover room. So I went to see these houses, kind of walked through the house in my head, counted up the rooms. I'm like, okay, 30 minutes here, 30, no, 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 whatever. Came up with like, okay, this is probably going to be about 4 hours. Okay, 160. So that's how it started. I don't know even what you asked
Yeah.
me and how I ended up here, but
Okay. So you started out by charging $40 an hour. And then how long did you clean solo for?
I hired my first employee in June 2021. So it was what, 8 months maybe?
And throughout the 8 months, were you making money? Were you paying your bills? What was the financial situation?
I was not making a lot of money. Basically everything I made, I put back into the business. I did not pay myself.
When you say you put it back in the business, what did you invest back into?
Well, I bought a truck right away.
Oh,
I bought a truck before, like when I was even on my own. Like I did not have any employees and I already had a truck.
like a company truck?
Yeah, not like a truck. It was a Ford Transit Connect,
Is that like a van, kind of like a
like a
van?
van, like a minivan. It has the double doors in the back, to
So
put. Yeah, I took out the last row of seats to put all the supplies in there too. So I was ready for any type of cleaning with everything
yeah.
you would need.
So we bought a truck, and then we started when we hired our first employee, and this employee just worked right next to you. Like, was it you and them as a team then at this point?
Yes.
How long did you do that structure until you hired your next employee? And then did you start buying more vehicles, or did you just go teams of three? Like, what was your decision after that?
I was experimenting with that. At that point, I also raised my prices to $50 an hour because I realized $40 an hour was not enough for the
Yeah,
two of us. And I started paying myself as if I was an employee. So even when I was working by myself, I was not paying myself the whole whatever, $40 an hour, right? Like I still paid
yeah.
myself like 15, $16 an hour. After that first employee, I think it was until November that we hired the second employee. So that was 5 months later. It was for 5 months. It was just me and this employee, but like everybody loved us. So, like we had a great chemistry and like we just like rocked all these cleanings and I was so proud of us. And then I hired the second employee and I did not know how to transition myself out of there. If I hired a third employee, like how am I going to break them up? Like I'm going to have to be the second person to that next employee again. Like I did not know logistically how to grow teams without me being there with the next new employee. And I did get myself out of cleaning when I hired the third employee, which was I think in January. So like June was the first one, November was the second one, January the next year was the third one, and I was out of cleaning. How do I
Yeah.
hire the next one? Because now we have schedules set for teams of three. Like so I would have to juggle all the clients, change it to teams of two and stretch the cleanings to different hours. So like again, I didn't know how to do that. So I hired the next employee and I went back and I started cleaning again.
If we're adding cleaners here, we got to be getting jobs somewhere. So like, how are you getting new clients at this point?
I've always been like very active on Facebook groups, like moms groups, local neighborhood groups. It's just me posting on these groups. I remember I made flyers too, and I was like driving around dropping flyers. And at that time, I thought we were growing pretty fast, but compared to what we do
Yeah.
now,
Do you remember roughly what your monthly revenue was about when you had the three employees in the one team, and then you went back and started cleaning again?
and 12,000, I think something like that.
So we're sitting at about $10,000 of revenue, and we have four employees. We were out of the field. Now we're back in the field because we don't want to disrupt anything for the clients. We want to keep it as smooth sailings for them. And for marketing, you're doing a lot of hustling. You're inside the Facebook groups. You're talking to people. Tell me the next jump that we made. So now we have four employees. We have one van. At what point do we just make the decision to not invest in a second vehicle, or do we invest in a second
I
vehicle versus?
did. I wanted to buy a second company car. It was still COVID. It was like maybe the second or third year of COVID. Used cars were like insane prices at that point. And I was driving a 2014 Toyota RAV4. When I went to look at like used cars that had a big enough trunk, they were like $30,000. I'm like, this is insane. Like I can buy a new car for $30,000. So that's actually what I did. I went and bought myself a brand new Toyota. So I bought a new car for myself and I gave my old Toyota to my business. And I had both of those vehicles wrapped. And that
So
lasted a year. And then I decided no more cars and I took the wraps off and I sold them both on the same day.
So we got to about four employees. Was that right? About four employees with the two cars, or did we go back to teams, or did we go teams of three?
A team of three and then a team of two. I was the second team with a new
I see.
employee.
I see.
Me and her were using the second car.
So at this point, you're actually in the field full time, and we're not doing stuff in the office. And then we decided to sell the two vehicles, and we're gonna have our cleaners drive their own cars. Tell me, like, where was the transition point for you to actually get out of the field the majority of the time?
I think that was 2 years ago.
That was about 3 years into the business.
Yeah.
And if you look back on it now, now with a little bit of perspective, like, what do you think was the reason that you held yourself back from jumping out of the field and staying out of the field, going out and coming back in a couple times?
I honestly did not know what to work on. I felt like when I was home, I felt like I should be doing something, but I did not know what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. The phone only rings so many times a week when you're that small, like it's not even like every day the phone is ringing, right? Truly
Right.
just did not know what to do, and cleaning felt like productive and comfortable.
What finally made you commit to getting out of the field full time and like finding finding what you should be doing in the office? Like, where was that commitment point for you?
At some point, I hired this girl. I got a third job, on Friday afternoons. I was going to a restaurant to serve tables because like I needed to supplement my money because I was not really paying myself well from this business. I met this Mexican girl and like she was a hustler and she's like, I can come clean houses for you. I'm like, okay, awesome. But she did not drive. So I ended up driving her back and forth, all day,
Yeah.
every day. So I got myself out of cleaning, but I was a driver. So that only lasted about maybe two months. And then I'm like, I can't do this anymore. At that time, I think I was like able to hire someone else and like finally have that second person for my teammate was a fairly strong cleaner. She ended up being with me for like 2.5 years and then got pregnant and left last year. She was a very strong cleaner. So I felt like whoever I put with her, like she could lead them.
Now we're out of the field, and we have great cleaners who are in the field. At what point did you start looking around for like to getting help? You started doing free stuff, and when did you start looking at potentially like paying for courses or coaching programs or things like that?
So I actually started looking for help right away. When I first started the business, I immediately started Googling like, how to build a cleaning business and blah blah blah, right? So that was the first time like I kind of watched like a free demo call or whatever, and then people started calling me. I started the business with someone else who was, 50-50 partner with me, but did not work in the business at all. He did not want me to invest into any coaching. He's like, we just started the business. Like, why would you need to pay anybody? Like, we can figure this out on our own. I'm like, okay, sure. That means I gotta figure it out. I was able to actually buy him out 9 months later after we started the business. But his brother loaned me the money for that first car, so I had to pay him out and pay for the car in cash
Oh,
to the both of them that day. So any savings that I had, almost, pretty much almost all of it went there. Like I didn't know again, like do I get myself out? Do I hire another person? But like how do I keep always starting a new team without like somebody being there? Like who knows what to do? 2 years ago, yeah, when I got myself out of cleaning, that's when I started like really looking for help from coaches.
do you remember roughly about what your revenue was about that point when you started looking?
It was about 20,000.
So about 20,000. We started looking for help. How did you come across Katie and I?
I think it was like me again, just browsing Facebook or whatever, looking for groups of people like who already own cleaning businesses. And so, of course, like I probably Googled something like building a cleaning business or whatever. And, I found your group. Like, this makes so much sense. Like, why am I not doing it this way? And anytime actually that I joined your call and I asked a question, I felt like you were like, just like, do whatever you want, but I'm telling you this works. Like you were very like very very short with me. I'm like, but and you didn't like let me even finish. I'm like, all right, this dude is an asshole. But I remember going upstairs after your calls. I remember even like that one call you had like with the guy from Shark Tank or something. I'm like, who does he think he is? Like,
Yeah.
and I went upstairs. And I remember telling my boyfriend, I'm like, listen, like this guy, I'm like, I don't like him. Like he's like arrogant, but like he knows what he's talking about.
Good
Yeah.
awareness. I'm less arrogant now than I was even back then.
Yeah.
When you came when you actually like when you did Deck in a Day, when you came into the group, when you actually started paying, like do you know roughly what your business was doing in revenue?
I was constantly like between like 25 to 30,000. Like one month it was 25, the next month it was 30, then back to 27 and 20, 28, 25, 30. Like it was constantly like that. So it's been a year now. And I think
Nice.
in May we did 30,000 last year, but the month before was like 25.
Looking back on it now, like what were you missing? Like what had you stuck in that 25,000, to $30,000 range for a couple years?
Not hiring enough people. I was always told like you always keep hiring. I never actually not had my funnel on ever. I think ever since I started hiring cleaners, but I did not know that I needed to hire as fast as I actually do to grow. I mean, even if you hire one or two people a month usually leave. So like you're still at the same level. I also did not know how to market, right? I was afraid, like, okay, I can't hire any more people because if I hire them, like, how am I gonna give them any hours? Like, people are gonna quit if I don't book more cleanings. So it was both. Like, I did not know how to properly market because first of all, in Grow My Cleaning Company, like, it was like done for you program, but it never worked for you. I noticed that like nobody was making any real progress that whole year. So, and I had nobody to look up to. There was one guy that was like making millions, but there was nobody to be like, okay, I want to be like that person. Like, how did you do it? And no one saw any real progress. And they had been in the program for like 2 or 3 years. I'm like, "Yeah, this makes no sense."
So you joined a year ago, which is cool. I should know that. And you were doing about 30,000. What did you do in April of this year, 2024? Just out of curiosity.
This year in April 2025, we did 65,000.
What'd you say?
65.
Down. So you went from 0 to 30,000 and took you 4 years, and then in the last year you went from 30 to $65,000 a month.
Yes.
And was that just a fluke month? Like, are you gonna like now go back down to 30,000 this month?
No, I've actually been growing by 5,000 every single month. So it's only been going up.
How are you able to do that? Like, how are you able to grow $35,000 a month over the course of the last year?
Just following your advice. It's
Yeah,
that
but
simple.
what is the like? But it's not my advice because again, like it's not me. I'm just like being the the aggregate of the information. But like, what are you doing? Because I'm not. Because let me ask you this: Am I doing your marketing for you?
No,
Am I
that
hiring your cleaners
was
for you?
no.
Is anybody in this program, these other people in the program, are they doing anything for you?
No.
Okay, then what are you doing to have grown your business for an additional $35,000 a month?
Marketing on Facebook, following your advice on how to build Facebook ads,
Yeah.
which was basically that was like the tipping point of like what convinced me to join the program because there was a lot of free stuff, but how to build the ads, you had to join. And I'm like, all right, just like sign me up. I need to know that. I was considering paying an agency or someone
Yeah.
to manage my marketing. I even talked to a couple guys and like they gave me a quote and your proposition was like I'll teach you how to do it yourself and you save whatever $18,000 a year. I'm like, yeah, why
Yeah.
wouldn't I want to know how to do it myself so that I don't have to pay anybody? I
If
know that I'm very good at like following instructions, following rules, and asking questions if I don't understand something. So I'm like, if there's a blueprint for something, like I can make it work. I know I can do it.
What is your current constraint? Like, so we talked about marketing now. That's something that you have going. What's going to slow us down? What could stop us from getting to 83K?
Not enough cleaners. That's
Yeah.
that's the constraint right now.
You talked about that before of like one of the two things that was stopping you from going from 30 to 65 is the volume required. This was the big epiphany that really helped my business personally grow from about $400,000 a year to $1 million a year was just understanding that this was the constraint. Talk through some of the situations or some of the experiences you've had that has made you convicted in that like this is now your problem to solve.
This is what happened last summer. I came back like end of July, and then basically the first week, everybody walked themselves out of here. They're like, see ya, I'm not doing this. So yeah, I was left without almost any employees. I only had the ones that have been here for a long time. Yeah, I did it all by myself. I did hire kind of like a girl that she was supposed to eventually be an office person, but I'm like, you need to help me, in the field. She was one of my ex cleaners who was one of the people who walked out during the summer while I was gone because she had enough of like what was going on over here. But I'm like, hey, you were the best cleaner I had, come back and help me. And she's like, okay, I would love that. So she did. So her and I and the other two people that we had, we cleaned everything on the schedule. So all day, every day, I was cleaning. Then I came home, I was interviewing and I was selling. I was not selling much. I did turn down my marketing to like $5 a day. And it was very tough. It did take, I don't know, maybe 3 months to actually like gain some traction and hire enough people so that I could again stop cleaning.
So now let's fast forward a little bit, to not last summer to the start of this summer. Like, how many cleaners do you have right now?
Right now we have 13. We had 15 on Monday. I did fire two.
So we're well above four, which we were last summer. And now you also are you alone in the office right now?
I have a full-time office person and we just made an offer to a second office person.
I think that's important to understand that it's like you can go from like feeling like your business is going to fall apart, and then 8 months later you can be sitting in like having the best revenues that you've ever had, actually making profit. You have one office person who's taking some load off you, and then you're just one more office person away from like you not only having a huge profit, but also having a huge profit of time. And it can happen quickly, and it can also go away real quickly too if you stop doing the work. So, Marie, we're on the road to 83K. Give me one piece of advice that you would give to somebody listening when they were, let's just say around $25,000 a month. Like, what's one piece of advice that you would give them?
Again, I think it's the hiring. I never grew like beyond a certain level because I never had enough people to do that. And I was just scared. I think you have to hire more than you think you need. You can't be scared. And when you actually have that many people on the schedule, it also pushes you to go harder and like sell more. It gets comfortable when like everybody's schedules are full, like I don't have to do much this week, yay, right? But people will fall off, like cleaners will leave and clients will leave. So you have to keep getting more clients than you're losing, obviously, otherwise you're not growing. And you have to keep getting more cleaners than you're losing, otherwise you're shrinking.
I would just summarize that all up as just commitment. Just commit to hiring, and then with the commitment to hiring is going to be you also have to commit to the marketing and selling. And I think it goes back to the biggest thing I look for, and whether I see someone being successful or not, is their commitment. Like, how committed are you to the business? What are you willing to do? And like, well before you knew me, you were committed. You bought cars. You hired employees. You did things that you didn't know the answers to because you were committed to, first off, just like making ends meet for you and your son. And then you're like, I actually can turn this into a business. Again, I think at the end of the day, like if somebody doesn't have commitment, it doesn't matter how good a systems you give them. It doesn't matter how good the program is. Like as soon as it gets hard, they make excuses. They stop. They run away. And that's fine, by the way. It's like most people do, but like you don't need to pay money for that. And so you also committed to coaching. You committed to investing into marketing, and like it's the commitment to your goals.
I mean, commitment is not something, you can force people to have or teach them to do, right? Like that
Yeah.
it didn't even occur to me to mention that because it's like so natural to me. Like I've never not been committed to something. Like,
Yeah.
like when I do something, I do it at like full speed. So yeah, there's no option for me to quit. Yeah, I could probably go and start another business. I don't feel like it. I'm gonna make this work.
Thanks for sharing your story today. If you guys are inside the coaching program, I super appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for making this possible and for making it fun, making it real too. It becomes real when you see other people who are doing it. So really do appreciate you guys. And if you're not inside the coaching program and you're committed and you want to hang out with cool people like Marie, I'm sure there's a way you can find out how to apply